Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott, and welcome back to another episode of VCTV. We've got a lot to talk to you about because we are here close to the end of the year at 2020. And so we're starting our end of the year episodes. Woo! Talking about what has happened in summary over this last year as we have seen a ton in venture capital. We've seen even more activity in new technologies, new companies, and the intersection of those technologies into new industries that once were old, established, and stale that now have been accelerated and digitized in some way, shape, or form, which has been super exciting. But where does this all mean? Where does this all go? Where is capital going? Where is it not? Where are the opportunities? That's what we are here to talk about. And even more importantly, just investing in general. What has investing in 2020 been like for all of us? What has it been in terms of insights and what have we learned? What will we do differently? But also what have been the results? In some cases, we've heard that, as we reported before, that PitchBook referenced Q3 2020 was actually down in terms of investment capital over 2019, so down year to year. But then we look at Q4, so where we're at right now in 2020, and it seems like a madhouse. There's money going everywhere. Money flowing everywhere. So what's really happening? That's what we've done, brought the best and the brightest here together to share with you their thoughts and insights and on the ground and portfolio experience, as well as they as investors have been making investments this year. And we want to share with you what's happening. And if you'd like to be on a show like today, do reach out. We'd love to find the right spot for you. But even more so, if you're loving what you hear, not just in today's episode, but more episodes of VCTV, click that big red subscribe button to tune in all day, every day to all VCT episodes as we, again, bring the best and the brightest to share with you their thoughts and insights and on-the-ground perspective of technologies, industries, and regions around the world. And entrepreneurs, there's also a spot for you, whether it's on our virtual stage singular or our Shark Tank episodes as well, where you get the chance to pitch your company, product, or service out to us as investors and a panel of investors at that who are interested in your company, product, or service and industry as well. Get the chance to not only get real-time feedback, but also start building relationships with us and exposure to the live community. What better way to end the year and start the next than doing just that? And a big thank you to the LATOKEN team and to Maria for making VCTV possible every single day, all year, for you and for us, and bringing us all together. With that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. Let's go ahead and do quick introductions today because we got a lot to talk about. Jose, welcome back to the show. Beautiful hat today. I'm loving it. Thank you. A little intro, a little background.
So thank you, Kyle. You definitely are one of my favorite hosts on all the shows that I participate in. And today I have my investor's hat. So I think that promises. Right. So I'm a serial entrepreneur for a long time, became eventually a business angel and rolled in as a VC, private investor today. I still have investments running. In the last 20 years, I've been investing essentially in technology, which is the area that I most like, building brands all my life. And today, what really excites me in this world is bringing business inclusion to everybody. And I do that under the umbrella of BizMoney. And well, Kyle, that's it. I'll bring it back to you right away.
All right. Thank you, Jose. Ragu, welcome back to the show, my friend. It's a pleasure. A little intro, a little background.
Yeah, hi, thanks, Kyle and VCTV. Pleasure to be here. My name is Ragu Rao. I'm from Princeton, New Jersey. I have a company called Harvesting Enterprises, which helps companies, go from seed to harvest. We help in all stages, strategy, execution, exit, whatever you want. And we have a large, virtual team. I was just on 3 panels this week, all on different hats, wearing different hats. Some on the investment side, some on the entrepreneur side. So look forward to, I think it's been a very exciting year as far as I'm concerned, from both sides. There's a lot of opportunities. Some are disruptive new technology, others are distressed technologies where you can actually consolidate. So it's both types are available. So thank you.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a great point that we weren't even talking about pre-show, the opportunities of consolidation. We've seen a lot of testing in 2019 and 2020, but now let's start putting the pieces together and have some real fun. All right, Lubna, welcome back. One of my favorites. We don't get a chance to see very often here on VCTV because she's so busy doing so many epic things to save the world. I just thank you so much for joining us today. A little intro, a little background, please.
I am full of gratitude to be here. Thank you, VCTV. And Kyle, you are by far, although Irina, I do, you know, I love you, but you are about as an unbelievable moderator and host as anyone can be. So I'm very grateful for that. Thank you for having me here. So I am a technologist, an advisor, and a teeny investor. Yeah, it's I used to think that you needed to have huge amounts of money to invest, and I do think this whole accredited investor thing is we have to reassess, because I think there's an opportunity for everyone to be an investor, as everyone can be an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. Well, and we had some great changes already this year, right? The requalification of accredited investor. We saw the opportunity for companies to go from raising just over 1 million to now around 5 million from non-accredited investors prior to the redefinition of an accredited investor. And there's more platforms than ever to syndicate, to find great opportunities, to find great companies. But we're going to dive into that in just a moment. Last but not least, Crypto Superwoman, the one and only, one of my favorites also as well, Lubna, and one of the best guest hosts that we have here on VCTV. I'm throwing that out there, Irina. Someone's going to hate me for that, but I'm throwing it out there. Irina, welcome back to the show. A little VCTV intro and background for you.
Thank you so much. Such pleasure to be here. You know, every time you're talking, I'm listening, I'm thinking, how can I be like Kyle when I'm moderating? That's my whole goal, okay? One day I'm going to feel like, okay, I think I have filled Kyle's shoes. I hope I can get there. I mean, what you do is really just an art, you know, and it's a skillful art for sure. You can tell that years and years and years you have put into this. My name is Irina Litchfield. Many know me as a crypto superwoman. I'm founder of Blockchain Cubed. Blockchain Cubed is a blockchain integration company. We do everything from designing tech and standing up tech to doing the community integration. So basically a non-crypto company integrating them into the crypto world, making sure that they meet all the people that they need to meet, and you know, make sure that they have the proper culture and messaging and all of that. So that part is my favorite part of work, integrating non-crypto into crypto. So delicious, always. Also, I am president of Lemeria. Lemeria is where capital meets innovation. We are driven by democratizing investments and opportunities all around the world. We work with investor partners, and also we are partnered with a global securities exchange where I am a senior advisor. And so we do believe that bringing back small market cap and giving liquidity to small market cap companies is important to elevate us to the next stage, basically. I'm also a senior advisor of Space Fund. I'm advisor of Med Network and ProChain Capital. And it's such a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Pleasure to have all of you. And each of you have already brought up and teased a little bit of what we're going to be talking about, but have this such diverse and vast background in the area of investment and building companies as well. And, you know, kind of want to take a different approach to today's episode here on VCTV. Again, it's close to end of year. I want to do a little bit of a recap and come to each of you and just hear what your thoughts are on investing here in 2020 versus 2019. As I mentioned pre-show, you know, PitchBook said Q3 was down over 2019, was higher than 2020. We are seeing more deal flow. I think we've all talked about offline than this year than we ever have. We've seen more venture funds get created this year, which is a good sign in terms of the future vintage of 2020. We've also seen more deals. I mean, I'm looking at the Twitter feed coming through right now, and it's this company, this company, this company. You go to TechCrunch, it's that company, that company, that company. Everyone's raising money. But let's hear it from you guys. End of year, Your summary of 2020 versus 2019. What have you learned? What have you seen? Jose, let's kick it off with you. Investing. What's your summary for the year?
I think 2021, to start with that, will be the year of AI, deep learning, and neural networks, definitely. It may become an extension of a few new things, definitely also 5G, which is still getting implemented. If I look at 2020 and 2019, there's a huge amount of money being invested into fintech, which was very hype. I think it still will continue in 2021, maybe not that much as it was before, because now we're going to face more like converging technologies, more impact, let's say, type of corporations, which are more social responsible. That will be more or less the trend. What I feel really, and that's what I want to say, is that we only listen or hear about success stories, right? And the issue is that 99.9% almost is not about success stories. So it's fine that we say there's a lot of money out there and that people are getting funded, etc., but that's not the real reality. The real reality is that only a tiny percentage of all the needed capital and of all the people that apply really get heard and get funded. To finish here, Kyle, I know that in average, every VC, I'm talking about a small VC, gets 4,000 more or less applications a year. He only will select, okay, more or less around 300 applications. And at the end, if he selects 10 to invest in, between 10 and 20, it's a lot. So look at that percentage, replicate it or expand it to the whole global effort, let's say offer, and then you will understand what really is going on. So the total amount of capital today in the world from professional investors compared to what the need is, I can tell you it's less than 1%.
It's a great point, and actually I have very interesting follow-up to the entire group based on that. So thank you, Jose. But before we come back to that, Ragu, same question to you. Results for 2020. What have you seen work, positive, negatives? I mean, you've been investing this year and making moves. What's your summary for the year?
I've had a very good year, and my most of my portfolio has done really well. But then I'm in the areas, like I said, the two types of opportunities: the consolidation opportunities, distressed assets. That's a lot of it related to kind of manufacturing and things that require not the online stuff, but the people who weren't able to switch to the kind of the pandemic online mode, those kind of opportunities. One of the opportunities that I'm helping out is with biodiesel plants. And many of these, there are a lot of small and pop plants which did not have the technology to kind of continue. And so there was a big opportunity, and we have moved forward in that. On the cybersecurity side, unfortunately, the more this digital transformation and the remote, access has happened. There has also been a slew of, increase in all these attacks. You've probably seen all the ransomware attacks that are like rampant now. And so there is a huge opportunity. In fact, I don't know if you heard, FireEye itself got hacked yesterday. So I think that's another opportunity to really fix it, because as I was telling, just like we needed the vaccine to get the kind of everybody, the healthy population, not get infected, we need a data vaccine to prevent, this kind of system breaches becoming data breaches. So that's another area where I'm really moving forward. I think anything in infectious diseases, which was kind of a poor cousin in terms of investment, has now been brought to the forefront. So I think those are areas I think that's going to continue to evolve, because now the need is, people understand the need. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and funny enough, or not funny, I should say, because it's a very important topic, but we actually spoke about this just a few days ago on a recent episode here on VCTV around machine learning and data. And Alpesh, one of our speakers, spoke about the data layer and the fact that the data layer is actually an afterthought versus a forethought for most companies, which has led to many of the current issues and will continue to do so until that mind shift has changed. But we're going to hold on to that in just a moment. Thank you, Ragu. Lubna, summary, 2020.
The year of disruption. I knew 2020 would be something, but this was it was something else. It's a reset. All rules are out. I think if anything, just at large, our we've always in adopting new technologies and new innovations, we create this crazy fight of, oh, the ROI, is there ROI, is there ROI? It's like your first job, who has a deal, what experience do you have? You just graduated college and you need your first experience, until it becomes painful. It was with, I don't want to date myself, but I remember who needs a 256K RAM memory? Who needs a computer at their desk? It's not going to need, everyone's not going to need that. And mobility, forget it, let alone .com before that. I fought the fight of who would need nobody would need a website. Why would anybody? That's a productivity distraction anyway. And here we've come to this year where, for good reason or bad reason, whether I like the lockdowns or not, and I don't, I despise the messaging, social distancing. I think it's social manipulation. I'm fine with physical distancing, but it has been a year of absolute reset. We've never ever been in a place where all people, no matter what country you're from or what language you speak or what class or gender or what have you, we all are talking about the same thing, wearing the same mask, and Zooming and other video communication technologies that we've had for like 20-something years. At the quality that we have, practically at the quality we have today. And it was, I remember fighting the fight for video telephony, like, oh, no, nobody's gonna want, and here we are. I say a year of acceleration and adoption and mindset change, which is very often the one of the two reasons that hinder the adoption of meaningful adoption of innovation is mindset, this psychology. It is a big part of it, and then the economics of it. If innovation is very often hindered because there's still room to milk the market for what was there, so why bring it on? And until big industries see that, oh, the thing that I've been stopping, for example, like location-based services, they were dead against it until they recognized, until E911, for example, in the States became a mandate, and then they realized they had to make the investment in the infrastructure. And then we went to the other extreme. But I think this year, a year of adoption per month. And if lockdowns go any longer, then it will probably be more like two years per month, which is huge and is very important. So this is a year of reset, and what makes 2021 really important, because if this was the year we're erasing from the board, these firmly ingrained mindsets and behaviors and beliefs and walls that we've created. 2021 is where now is the time to set our intention for what kind of a life. We know the choices, the decisions we take today will frame the choices we have tomorrow. So this is there is plenty of money in the market. There is plenty of innovation across, up and down the technology stack. So now it's about how do what bouquet of technologies we want to take in to unlock what value in what vertical or industry or market, and the sky is not even the limit. Ask Elon. It's an amazing time, but this is the time. I grew up in the Middle East, and I heard my grandmother always say, "Oh, you can't do anything about this. I'm only one person, one person." This is the time where the only way we're going to get to where we all want to get to, whatever that may be, is to do it is each of us individually. I say we need to move from being a collective or a board to being an elective. We're electing to invest. So ourselves, we're each dealt 24 chips a day. So where do you elect to put your chips and what kind of life you want. So I'm hoping that in 2021, we will see a transition from a shareholder to stakeholder, from economic wealth index to, as Rian Eisler puts it, a social wealth index.
I love it. I love it. And I love the chip analogy as well. 24 chips in a day. Where do you place them? Where do you place your bets? That's a great test. About 8 of them go to my first morning coffee. But nonetheless, I do love the analogy. Irina, to you. Thank you, Lumna. Summary 2020. I mean, you're all over the place in an exciting way on the deep technology side, I'll say, but what have you seen?
Yes, I'm seeing huge demand and the need for people to invest, especially for unaccredited investors, right? So I think that we have proven that unsophisticated investor term is highly outdated, only because I do believe that the availability of information and availability to get that information from different sources is now at the fingertips for people all around the world. And so, I mean, look at Airbnb IPO today, right? Now, with that being said, investment bankers dropped the ball once again. So, you know, the mispricing has. I'd be pretty upset customer right now if my round was mispriced that much. But you know, we know all that, and we won't get into that loophole. Overall, I'm seeing a lot of interest in deep technology investments. And you know, maybe there's not as much of investments that are being deployed, but there's definitely a lot of research that investors are putting into understanding and in their desire to want to invest. So while last year they wouldn't even consider this industries, right? So, and that can be quantum, it can be space, it can be biotech. You know, for the most part, investments in those verticals were made specifically for the funds that were dedicated to that thesis and that understood it, and you know, and for the most part, kind of the whole understanding is that all these things are just for fools, right? Like we'll figure out when it happens. And now that our reality has proven to us that things can change very fast, and you know, I think that really shuttered up the kind of the minds of investors, and they started thinking, okay, maybe there's something that I'm missing. Maybe things are not the way they appear to me. So maybe I should look for different opportunities. And of course, distressed assets. Distressed assets this year are just really delicious, right? And it's one of those things that really hard to talk about, because distressed asset means struggling company, right? So and if you're a distressed asset investor, that's a good time for you, you know. And I know that there are a lot of interesting deals that are happening, a lot of mergers and acquisitions and bundling, and that's good. It's really good, because my hope is that we will see some innovation coming from that. Also, the reason it's good is because it creates a lot of opportunities for those who are not distressed. Not everybody is distressed at this point. And I think that what we're seeing, which is clear, and that's on entrepreneur side, which is the most important, I think, thing to think when we're thinking about investments, is that some people are waiting and they're freezing. So some entrepreneurs and some investors, they're just saying, I'm gonna try to survive this year, and they're hoping that next year, you know, is gonna be better. And some investors and entrepreneurs saying, you know what, nope, we're not going to wait for next year, because we don't know what's going to be next year. You know, this year was going to be an amazing year for everybody, and we all had huge business plans and travel plans and all these plans, And so these entrepreneurs and investors, they're really adapting, and they're adapting with unbelievable speeds. So what that means is that a lot of companies are really jumping in and implementing innovations and pushing forward and thinking outside of the box and growing. And so for investors, that's interesting, right? And so that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of deep tech. I see a lot of more open-minded investments. As you said, ICC has done an amazing job for our country to be able to bring democratization of opportunities and investments to people, to America. Small steps, but that's okay. We must praise them for that. And there's definitely demand for public offerings, and most importantly, two governments are standing up interesting infrastructures to be able to issue licenses to companies like Ape Global, who are driven by basically being exchange as a service, right? And exchange as a service doesn't exist. So overall, a lot of liquidity, you just have to stay persistent. That's the thing. You have to think outside the box. You have to clear your pitch, cannot mumble. You just cannot mumble on the screen. You have to know what you're saying. You have to know, you have to have a good presentation and then follow up. And Kyle, investors that would take forever, the people that would just, you would have to go kiss one ring and then another ring and then another ring to be able to not talk to that investor, but to talk to the associate of that firm. You can get them on the phone now, and that's opportunity.
So let's touch on that. So real quick, to some of Irina's points, in the United States, as she was mentioning, things have changed. Over time, it has taken a lot of time, and for many reasons, which we won't dive into, and other places around the world actually have many areas of investment opportunities, liquidity, fundraising efforts, all types of different schemes in a good way, right? So processes to fundraise. But I'm going to throw the controversy in here. So 2020 was a tough year for some companies, no doubt, and we're going to separate that from the question I'm about to ask. For the companies that haven't raised, why? What's holding them back? You've got more opportunities, arguably, than ever before to fundraise. You've got crowdfunding of all sorts and sizes. You have the change in who's accredited, not accredited. You have crowdfunding efforts. You have syndicates. You have more companies, more investors that you can get on the phone than ever before. Everyone's doing the same thing, to Lubna's point. We're all living Zoom style. You can get a hold of more people now than you ever could before. So again, separating out the companies that have had their struggles, because I think that's not a fair point to this question. To everyone else, if you haven't raised, why? Why would companies not have raised, and what could they have done differently to potentially stand out this year from the companies you have each heard from? Ragu, you're shaking your head first. I'm going to start with you. I'm mixing it up.
Yeah, I think, let's call it, this is a year of the centennial singularity, 100-year, I think, singularity. So I think people who already had something, in the spaces that are kind of going up, if they had already started interactions, I think they were in a better place. If you had to pivot, I think it took them like 1 or 2 quarters to really kind of change their thing to, more of them went into survival mode. To get enough money to kind of bridge to when again the technologies they're working on is back in demand. So because it was such a sudden hit, I think if you already had made relationships and that created the rapport, then it's easy to continue in the digital mode through Zoom or whatever. It is tougher to establish that first impression just via Zoom, because especially due diligence becomes a little bit more difficult, because anybody in their basement now is it's democratized. You can pitch and nobody knows really what you have. Of course, the merit of the idea is always good, but still whether you have like whatever the infrastructure that you need and things like that, it's very hard to verify now. So I think from that perspective, I think, emotional intelligence has become much more important. to be how to present things online, how to have the right advisors. That's actually the key, because the advisors already have the relationships, so they can bring, investments or business deals. So I think advisors have become even more important than before, because of this the new setup where networking is not as easy as it used to be.
Thank you, Ragu. And I see some of those points. I think there's definitely, and I argue only because I'm fortunate enough to be on this side of the table to get the chance to meet and network with all of you and so many here on VCTV as well. But there is some really different. It's a different take. Jose, I heard you. You're coming. Don't worry. I heard that feedback. You're coming up next. It's a different take on networking today, right? It is very hard, but it's very different. And for some, that can be an opportunity, to Lubna's previous point. For others, it can be a very big struggle. Again, this is a little bit of the controversy here on VCTV. We're mixing it up, end of year. Jose, I heard you wanted to chime in based on the reverb I got. Go ahead.
Yes, because this essentially is the point that I know a huge ton of data about. And the issue is like this. Most of the companies, right, they simply are not fundable. That's the issue. And that's what everybody needs to understand. Fundraising is an art, and you need to have a team, and it's a full-time job. It's not because you go out and that you start presenting a presentation and start talking about something that you're going to raise the funds. That's not how it works. The issue is that you need to have the mindset of an investor. If you don't understand the mindset of the investor, and you don't present the things in the way he wants to see it, and if he doesn't have the feeling that you are at that stage that he likes to invest in, and he doesn't understand your business, you are out. Mm-hmm. And that's the issue. And that's the case for 99.9% of everybody, because investors look typically at something in their criteria that they can make an X amount of money of return, and that the team that is in place can make that happen. Now, what you see is, in general, very bad prepared pitches, teams that mostly are not in place, and completely extreme, let's say, exposure that the investor on the other side is really not able to understand where you are going to make the money, or he thinks you're too high risk, right? Because he has only, let me put it like this, if he has $10, he can only spend $10, not 20. So he will make a selection of the best option for him to spend those $10. And those $10 are not growing, right? So just to give you a very short idea, the need for funds on a global scale probably is more or less in the 15 to $20 trillion. We don't know exactly, right? Mm-hmm. And what I can tell you is that we are not even close to 1% of that amount.
Well, but there's a very big, I'll argue, there's a very big difference between needs and actually, so companies that need capital and companies that also deserve, not deserve, but should receive capital. All right, those are very different, right? Multiple trillions of dollars for companies that need are very different than the companies that should receive capital because of some of the things that you just pointed out. But nonetheless, a very good point. Lubna, to you. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Jose.
Yeah, there's one very important point I would like to say, that there is a solution, and that's the good thing, okay? So the solution is like this. You can give them and that's why we have these accelerators, right? But you have other options. You can give them some knowledge, okay? Because most of these guys, they are not serial entrepreneurs. They come on stage for the first time. So you can give them some knowledge to start with, but then you come to a problem that you need to boost them, let's say, to free cash flows, because there's no business in the world that can survive, small or big, without free cash flows. So if you don't boost them to free cash flows, once more, right, they're not fundable, because investors like to see that you have made it, that you are already generating revenues, and that preferably you have free cash flows. So there is an industry, a lack of offer, especially in that first stage, that is, give them the knowledge and help them or get them to free cash flows. And that's exactly what BizMoney is about.
All right. Lubna, thank you, Jose. Lubna.
I was like waiting for Irina to speak because I wanted to hear what she had to say.
I can switch up the order. All right, Lumna, we're holding you to the last. Arena, you first.
I really thank you, Lubna. It's a great question. It's a really great question. I think both points are very valid, Ragu and Jose. One, obviously, you need to know how to present, and it is surprising that after we keep putting out the information out there, after you just can Google what to do, there's YouTubes. I mean, like, gosh, for God's sake. It's all out there. Just follow the step. I think entrepreneurs think that they're freaking special snowflakes. Okay, I'm just gonna be transparent here. They all think that they're gonna come out and they have the right way of thinking, and then they're gonna ignore the templates that are provided to them, and they're gonna like create this interesting thing, and they think that their project is the most special project and they're the most qualified to do it. And so they just don't speak the right language. They do not they do not go through that barrier of you know how to follow the instructions, okay? And as a you're an entrepreneur, you just have to show some sort of compliance, because if I'm gonna have you go raise money round after round after round after round, you better believe that it is compliance that you're gonna have to do. You're going to need to. Fundraising is all about the numbers. You need to, excuse me, but I really like to say that to my clients. I want to be able to come in the middle of the night, smack your head with the pillow, and you stand up and you give me your 7-word description of what your company does. And I need to hear a 3-sentence extension. I mean, while you're sleeping, and then 7-word vision, and right? So you have to know those things without thinking them. And a lot of entrepreneurs don't do that. As well as, again, because they think they're so special snowflakes, and it sounds harsh. I know, I'm sorry. And
no. Look, I'm gonna interrupt. So it's not harsh, it's also the truth. And I apologize for the interruption, but I think it needs to be said as, look, we all believe in something. We all want to build something. That's great. We all should have that opportunity. But when you go to raise capital, to your point, Irina, when you go to raise capital, the game changes a little bit. And it's not that you're just the one and only unique snowflake. You have to be ready. You have to be prepared. You have to bring it up a level and go from your idea to now this is a business. And I think that sometimes gets lost in the mix. And I'm going to hold you right there, Irina, because I got one more question I want to come around before we wrap. But Lumna, to you, same question.
Yeah, I think it's been covered. It's like, I think confidence, it's a confidence and cockiness. It's one or the other. There's on one hand, whether they think they're special or they're coming across as because they're hiding their insecurities. I think the legibility to Irina's point of their story. I think having a common language, again, to Irina's point, understanding, it's about understanding your audience. And so whether you're lacking confidence or you're or have an excess of cockiness, at least if you adopt the language of the audience being in this context, the investor, then again, to Irina's point, you might have better reach. And I think also the team, it's, I think maybe we could, there needs to be maybe a better facilitation of way for great ideas to find a great execution. And maybe we have the access capacity to maybe not only incubate or accelerate, but do more of this team and idea matching, having this space of capacity. Because really, I think the greatest innovations now, not only needing insights in not only just how you talk and how you pitch it, but also a lot of it that is going to be truly impactful and worthy of investment is going to, I think, have a stack of innovation. So it's AI and graph blockchain databases. And things like that are complex to express, and sometimes they're complex to solve because our problems right now are complex. But it's a transdisciplinary world, and we have to come with common languages.
Yeah, and we're starting to see that trend starting to happen now, right? Where not just languages are getting more streamlined, but also more matching is happening because there are so many people with good ideas and execution that we're starting to see more people bringing others together. So I think that's a great point. So closing thoughts. 2020 is a couple weeks and we're done, which means we start 2021. One or two industries in your closing thoughts that you're most excited about looking at into 2021, and then where can everyone find you? Jose, let's start with you.
So my closing thoughts goes into the topic that we were talking about. And as a comfort to all the people that are watching on VCTV, watching to us, that are entrepreneurs, look at it like this. If you would put most of the investors in a pitching area, they would not come out very well. I can tell you that, because it's not easy to pitch for anybody, not even for an investor. And I can tell you that investors also go out to raise funds because that's how they fund their own funds, right? So that's my closing thought. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Jose Graca, BizMoney. So I give the whole round again, and just go BizMoney, LinkedIn, Jose Graca, and I'm always available. I'm an open networker, and if you have an exciting project which fits in pre-seed or seed, and you need some help, then just reach out to us.
Perfect. Thank you, Jose. Irina, quick closing thoughts on one or two industries you're most bullish on for 2021, and where can everyone find you?
Obviously, space industry is just rocketing, and bundle it up with the crypto post-bull, post-halvening growth cycle. I think those are the two things to keep in mind. And best place to find me would be message me on LinkedIn or Twitter, or just Google me. But I'll respond better on those.
Perfect. Lubna and Ragu, a little change up. So one or two industries you're bullish on. Why also you come and love VCTV, and then where can everyone find you? So you have a third question. So Lubna, we're going to start with you. One or two industries you're bullish on. Why do you come and enjoy and love VCTV, or not? But hopefully you do. And then where can everyone find you online?
How could I not love VCTV? I mean, look at us, and I've had you as a host and adore you, as you know, and I love it when Irina hosts with her amazing energy. So and just the people that I've met here. Technologies, I'm there is quantum. But for me, it's about the combination, and a lot of combinations are coming together. So when you have graph type databases that are distributed and decentralized, together with blockchain or distributed ledger technologies, when you layer on top of that AI and data science. So for me, it's about the stack, and then the immersive experiences. So for me, it's all about the experiences we create, and we've never been able to to actually create such immersive experiences as we are today, not just because of technology, but because of adoption. So in the entertainment and this whole immersive, again, moving to an experiential, not just this too flat, but then it's also in verticals. So a lot in the green and regeneration, as you know, I'm a big fan of this whole, keep saying regeneration, grassroots regeneration. And I'm looking forward for more like micro enablement of social entrepreneurship. So small investments that can unlock big value. And that's not, and don't have it, it doesn't have to be, I'm dying to see integrating a basket weaver with smart sensors that make the smartest blockchain supported transport of goods. Maybe, you know, the basket is weighed and they put the mangoes in it, and then, you know, so yes, and hopefully you'll continue to find me here on VCTV if you guys will have me around. And I'm just Lubna Dajani, practically everywhere.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lubna. And Ragu, last but not least, close us out. 1 or 2 industries you're bullish on. Why do you love and enjoy join us here on VCTV? And then where can everyone find you?
Well, first, I love VCTV because you have so many events and reach out to so many people, and all, you know, kind of related to how somebody can pivot in this pandemic. I think it's very important to have the resources because, as we talked about, networking may be more difficult, but I think if you find the right places, the incubators, the accelerators, the platforms, I think you know, that's the key. And I think VCTV is one of those platforms of choice for me. So in terms of where I see things going, I think distributed is a keyword. You know, distributed but remote, and then experiential sharing. You know, all these are important because you know, these were things that used to happen automatically, kind of organically. Now we need to kind of make them happen through technology, and that's been accelerated because of the pandemic. I think AR will come back, AR and VR, which was very hot, but because of the pandemic, kind of, it's trying to figure out how to get back in there. So that's one. Cybersecurity, privacy, again, you know, because everybody is online now, it's something that has to catch up. And that's where I see this whole data protection, data vaccine being important, because it's all been preventive and reactive. We need to do something proactive. So, and then of course the healthcare, you know, that's just directly, we're talking more about infectious diseases and things that, you know, it is not anymore just diseases of the civilization. This is about survival. So, which has changed some of the metrics, you know, because a lot of money was going into things which were more on the kind of the top, you know, 10% only addressing. But now I think we are moving it back to more, you know, kind of address the global needs. So I think the global needs have become more important just because everybody is being touched by the same things. So, so thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Ragu, where can everyone find you as well?
I'm on LinkedIn, Ragu S. Rao, my middle initial S, first name, middle initial, last name. So thank you.
Wonderful. And thank you all so much for not only your kind words, but for so much of the contribution today. This is a very important topic. Thank you, Luna. We're going to continue to talk about here in the coming closing weeks of 2020. So get ready, audience. More to come. Thank you, Jose. With that being said, again, thank you, audience, for tuning in. If you like what you heard, click subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Do reach out if you'd like to be on a show like today, joining our outstanding, thank you, Ragu and Jose, our outstanding, Luna as well, outstanding investors who contributed today so much of their knowledge and insights and on-the-ground perspectives about different technologies, industries, and regions around the world when it comes to investment. And entrepreneurs, there's also an opportunity here for you, as we've mentioned before and during today's episode. This is a great community here at VCTV, outstanding investors who would love to hear your pitch about your company, product, or service, and give you real-time feedback. Also start building a relationship with you, and a great community that would love to hear about it as well. Reach out. We'd love to find the right spot for you. Last but not least, a big thank you, not only to our outstanding panel today, but also to the LA Token team and to Maria for making VCTV possible every single day, and all of the efforts they do all year, all day, every day. And with that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. You can find me online everywhere at Kyle Ellicott, and you can find all of our investors as well online 24/7, 365. Reach out, make sure you add context. And we'll be back here with more VCTV. And get ready, because Irina is jumping in the guest hosting spot. So get excited, ladies and gentlemen.